As Simone says, this is the panel discussion focusing in on film and TV. And as you can see, we have some fab panelists. So let me just quickly introduce them, and then I'm going to hand over to let them tell a little bit more about themselves. So we have Chloe Bingham, who's a freelance assistant producer and project manager for Think Bigger. We have Kay Verdon, who's a careers manager for Screenskills. We have Petra Mandova, who is the business development executive for the Mandy Network. And did I miss somebody? Chris is from Raise the Roof. Sorry. So can I ask each of you, and you're all very, very welcome, and can I ask each of you perhaps to say a little bit about yourselves and you know, the organisation that you currently work for and what your role is within the film and TV sector? I'll start with you, Kay.
Hello everyone, my name's Kay. I work for an organisation called Screenskills. We look after skills and training in the screen industry. So that's TV, games, animation and VFX. And we give bursaries to freelancers. So that can be for training, for driving lessons, childcare. It's a very, very flexible. Or equipment. We also run a lot of training events. So if you go to our website, screenskills.com, you can see a list of events and opportunities. So that can range from, at the moment we've got training on like music for supervisors. How do they manage? How do they look at introducing music to their work? We've got training around CV workshops, set etiquette. We realize a lot of people are not able to get on set when they're starting out these days. So we've got a session next week on set etiquette, and portfolios is a big subject as well. So have a look at our website. It's a really great resource, and there's lots of information about job roles, career pathways. So it's a good place to start if you're not really sure what you want to do. So yeah, I look forward to chatting to you.
Chris?
Hi, how you doing? My name's Chris Hall, as it says on my box. I'm a past Glasgow University student. I was at Glasgow beginning of the 2000s. Did the student TV station and eventually graduated and did some call centre jobs before getting an internship at Tiger Aspect, who are one of the UK's biggest independents. Did an internship there for a year and then just kind of worked my way through the industry. I'm now a production manager at Raise Roof Productions. Raise Roof are co-owned by Phil and Kirstie, who do Channel 4 property shows. And my job at Raise Roof is to do most of the uncreative things on a TV production, in terms of I do budgets, management, employment and whatnot. And I've been doing that at Raise Roof for 10 years now, almost. God, I feel old now.
Thank you, Chris. Chloe?
Hi everyone, my name is Chloe Bingham and I'm a freelancer mainly. I'm also an ex-Glasgow University student. And so my background, after I graduated college in 2014, I decided to take a gap year in order to network and build up my contacts. And so I successfully applied for an apprenticeship with Channel 4 and I was with their full talent team for a year, working across all of their entry-level production schemes, such as the production training scheme, the graduate scheme, apprenticeships, etc. I then decided actually I wanted to go to university. I went to Glasgow and I studied film and TV, and I was involved with a range of societies such as GUST, and also like horse riding, etc. And then since then I've been freelancing. So I went straight into a job as an assistant producer for a children's media company, and we made interactive kids toy play content. And I did that for a while. And then since October, I've been working for a company called Think Bigger as a project manager. And so Think Bigger is a diversity inclusion training company for the TV industry. And so we do a lot of recruitment and training for companies such as Channel 4 and ITV, etc. And we also do a lot of training around in disability awareness for Screenskills and other companies actually. So currently I am project managing the outreach and promotion for the Channel 4 and the ITV production training scheme. And actually the ITV production training scheme is currently open. So anyone who wants to get into TV, it's a good entry-level scheme and that's just launched, it's brand new. And yeah, we'll train you for 12 months in a range of positions such as a researcher, script editor, etc. So yeah, that's what I do. Thanks.
Not much, Chloe, not much. Thank you so much. And Petra.
Hi, everyone. My name is Petra, and I work for the Mandy Network, or Mandy.com, and we are the world's largest creative community for film and TV professionals, for actors, voiceover artists, dancers. We are UK-based company, but we have a global reach, so we kind of it's a big hub that you can network, you can meet people from all around the world. Our main focus is to post jobs for film and TV, commercials, projects, and any other audio visual projects for our different sites. So, for example, we usually post around 1,000 crew jobs a month only in the UK. But we are also very passionate about supporting new generation of filmmakers and actors who are looking to get their foot in the door. So we do have a special section for this, which is kind of like opportunity section. So we kind of allow a lot of film students or people who want to do their first projects to kind of crew up for this or find actors for this. So it's a great resource for opportunities, but for beginners, but also for already senior professionals. And we also organize a lot of events and competition to showcase our members' work. So, for example, yesterday we launched a monologue competition, which is our fifth, it's our biggest competition for actors to showcase their skills and their talent. So it's also a great resource of that.
Thank you, Petra. Thank you, everybody. And I'm delighted with the range of experience and backgrounds that the four of you in the panel are coming from. Now, the topic that we set for today to focus in on specifically is film and TV, buzzing your way around the industry. Join us in a conversation about freelancing, unconventional ways into the sector and getting started. Now, I want to start this topic with Chris and Chloe, because you are beautiful alumni of ours and you can completely put yourselves in the shoes of the students that are here in the call today. So what I would like to put to you is, taking that topic into consideration, can you tell us a bit about your journey from student to getting into the industry in the first place? And can I start with you, Chris, simply because I want to pick up on the fact that you might be more unconventional in the fact that you said you worked in a few call centres beforehand, so you certainly didn't go straight into the industry. So
Yeah.
I'll start with you, Chris, and then I'll come to you, Chloe.
So when I was at uni, I think I mentioned I did the student TV station cast, which is an amazing grounding in the television industry. And I would urge anybody who wants to work in television who's at Glasgow University to at least check it out, because you'll never get a better grounding in the industry and be able to do as much as you can there. So I did GUS for 4 years. I graduated and I thought it was as simple as just calling STV, BBC, going, hi, I did the student TV station, I graduated, could I get a job? And got a bit of a rude awakening where it's a lot better now, but when I was looking for jobs maybe 10, 15 years ago when I was starting out, it was a lot harder. There wasn't the internet, there wasn't Facebook, there wasn't all these kind of companies to fight jobs.
Sorry, that's my dog.
Once I graduated, I was currently working at Tesco at the time, and I worked there for a bit, and then went to call centres. And I'd done some networking through the student TV station. There was a few people I'd met, gone into work in the industry. I did runners jobs on things like X Factor, a lot of these kind of like touring shows which come to a city, have auditions, and they're looking for local people to do runners. That's how I kind of started. And then I luckily saw a job advert for an internship in London for Tiger Aspect. Applied for it thinking I'd never get it, but actually did get it. Uprooted my whole life, moved to London for a couple of years where I got all my experience, and then came back to Scotland, which is where I always wanted to be. I never really wanted to base myself in London. It's just back then And I have to stress it's a lot better now. But back then, when I was starting off, most of the opportunities were in London. There was an industry in Scotland, but it's nowhere near as big or as welcoming or as accessible as it was back then. And I almost had to go off, get my experience and come back. And actually, when I came back, the experience I had from working in London put me in a really strong position for coming back to Glasgow. And I was actually quite fortunate that since I came back to Glasgow, I haven't been out of work. I've been very lucky in that respect.
Thank you. Chloe, can I ask you to reflect on that as well, kind of your journey from student, but bearing in mind you also had some experience before you came to university with Channel 4. I wonder if you could specifically maybe speak a little bit about freelancing as well, because that's something you're very strong in.
Yeah, sure, definitely. So like I said, I decided to take a gap year first to network and build up my contacts. That's how I got that's how I applied for the job at Channel 4 and was successful in getting it. So yeah, my experience definitely is a bit different. So yeah, I went straight to Glasgow, and then yeah, I joined Writing societies such as Gust. Like I also worked for the GUSRC and made a lot of short videos and stuff as their communications officer. And so yeah, so basically once I was looking to graduate, I utilized Facebook, because I'm not sure if you guys are aware as students yet, but a lot of the jobs that you get in this industry are generally short term, and generally you get them through Facebook. And so yeah, I utilized Facebook to look for different jobs, and then like I joined the range of Facebook groups, such as UK Film Jobs or London Film Crew Network or TV Jobs Network in Scotland. And yeah, I just really put myself out there, and I turned on notifications for these groups. I advise anyone who's looking for a job and you're in these groups, turn on notifications, because a lot of these jobs are first come, first serve. And so yeah, I did that essentially, and I like whenever I saw a job, I applied for it. And so I saw a job by a company called Wildbrain, who are a children's media company, and they were looking for, at the time they described it as a junior producer, and so that's actually the reason I only felt comfortable applying, because it said junior and I was obviously about to graduate. So yeah, I saw this job that they put on Facebook essentially, and they're looking for junior producer, and you just had to apply and send your cover letter and like with your experience and stuff. And so I applied, I was selected for the first stage interview, did the second stage interview, and then I had to do a storyboard, and they gave me like a mock project for like a kid's toy play content, toy play project, sorry. And I think it was with Teletubbies. They said, if you were to make a toy play video for Teletubbies, what would you do? And so yeah, I had to do this mock storyboard, and I had to outline how I would like what my concept would be essentially, do like a beginning kind of script, and then essentially say like how I'd film it and like why it would appeal to young children. So yeah, that's basically what happened. I applied for that job, I got that job. And that was a bit different, because although I was freelance, I actually worked there full time for 10 months. But unfortunately, in April 2020, I was made redundant because of COVID. And so actually after that point, I spent 3 months unemployed, because the industry was really difficult to get work essentially. But since August, I have been working again, freelancing between August to November, and then yeah, working full time for Think Bigger since November. And again, pretty much all of the jobs that I had between August and November were through Facebook, I think. So for instance, I got a job producing a internal video for Snapchat that was remotely directed, like the directors were in the US, and I got that through Facebook as the job was as a producer. And then I also got a job filming a TV series actually for a small company that was just launching called Feel Good Factor TV. And again, I got that through Facebook. And then the other interviews I had at the time, I think I got through the talent manager. So yeah, essentially that's what I would say, like put yourself out there on Facebook. If you don't have a profile, create one, because I think it's important. And then yeah, turn on notifications so you're the first to see these jobs.
Great practical networking advice. Thanks, Chloe. So networking is obviously one route into the business, and it's something that I hear film and TV professionals saying all the time you should be doing. But there are Petra advertised jobs, and Mandy is one of the places where you'll see advertised jobs. So we have a question here from a student. When applying for jobs in the film industry, what are the main things that are looked for in applicants, specifically in screenwriting and editing positions?
Sorry, screenwriting and?
Is specifically in screenwriting and editing positions?
So with editing, it always depends on the project, because usually you know, it's you need to see if I think sometimes maybe it's often the mistake that a lot of graduate students do is sometimes they apply to very senior roles. So it's really important to see what you're applying, because you know, in general, when you get out of the school and you start applying for jobs, you know, you look for different resources, and maybe you're gonna start applying for, you know, a lot of jobs every day, you know, and that's something that can be really frustrating, because you know, you're applying to a lot of jobs and maybe you don't get replies. But that's something that you have to start with, to kind of be really focused on who you are, what you can like, what are the jobs for you at this moment, and just to keep applying for them. And even if it's a lot of job to apply, still keep applying, and always especially just some mistake that people do quite often as well, just read the description and make a CV specifically to the job. You know, you don't have to put all the experiences that you have done in your life, but just what is related to the job. Just also be aware if it's a production company or if it's an individual filmmaker, you know, if they need more kind of personal approach, or if they just want to see your experience, maybe that you have some experience with some software or some kind of equipment. And these kind of these things are very important. And also writing a cover note specifically to that job as well, to kind of show your personality, show how you can how you can contribute to that project or to that production company. So I would say this applies to any job that you apply for.
Yeah, I completely agree, Petra. And just to let students know that if you go onto the Career Service website, we have a tool called Career Accelerator Apply that really helps you put all of that good advice that Petra has given into practice. Now, Kate, I want to bring this next question to you because I think Screenskills is a great tool for this. And the question is, what are the best ways to begin networking? How can we meet people in the industry?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think a lot of people think right now that it's impossible to meet people because we can't go to face-to-face events. But actually, there's a huge opportunity to network. And in some ways, it's easier now to network than it ever was before, especially if you're starting out. There are so many free events and masterclasses and etc. That Petra mentioned that she was organizing, we're organizing, and lots of organizations are going to. So, you know, my advice would be to attend some of those sessions. Find if there's any speakers that you'd like to connect to, find them on LinkedIn, send them a message, and that's how you start building your network. I mean, I think there's been a couple of people that I've met who have been on our trainee finder program. So we do work placements on set for lots of different departments. And there was one particular guy I remember, and he was so organized in his networking approach. And I was so impressed. I was like, I wish I was as organized. So he had a spreadsheet, and he would write every time he reached out to someone, he would put the date and the time and, you know, what it was that he reached out to that person about. And even if he didn't get a reply, he would, let's say 3 weeks later, a month later, email that person again. But every time in a giving a sort of update as to, you know, sort of maybe something with industry or what he's been doing. And it was a really good approach. And he works in production and he's doing very well. But I just thought, you know, you have to be very organized when it comes to networking. And I think it's just really clever to actually record that, you know, to really have a spreadsheet where you just, and, you know, you need to, you know, don't get disheartened if the first person you reach out to they don't get back to you. People are busy. But if you keep your contacts sort of warm and just give them an update of what you're doing and etc., But finding those people in industry, it could be that you watch your favorite TV program or film and you look at the credits, and everyone, you can track everyone down these days. There's really no excuse. And these are passionate people. They're passionate about what they do. If you also show that you're interested in what they're doing, and you've seen some of the content that they've made, then it's there's nothing better than complimenting someone on shows that they've worked on. So there's really even if there's no face-to-face event, there's plenty of opportunity to network, and you should all be networking right now.
Thank you, Kay. Petra, can I ask you to answer this question very quickly? And the question is, you have to pay to apply for jobs through Mandy, don't you? What is the fee?
Well, we do have a section which is called Opportunity, and a premium membership section. So it's free to create a profile, and anyone who joins gets like a first month of premium membership for free. And after, you can see if if it's for you, because sometimes people have different resources how to look for jobs. So you have this 1 month to kind of see if this is working for you or not. And after, you can upgrade to be premium member, or you can stay a normal member, which you can still connect with people and you can apply for opportunities. But for paid jobs, you have to be premium member, and it's £20, 25 per month. Or there is a annual membership that is cheaper, but sorry, I don't remember at the moment what is the annual fee.
Okay, thank you, Petra. Okay, so I want to put these two questions together. So the two questions are, what is the best way in for graduates with no formal experience and no relevant skills? What kind of skills do companies ask of junior researchers? And the other question is, advice for an actor trying to get experience but doesn't have a film reel agent yet. Most jobs I keep seeing require film reels and professional experience. And I think those two questions go nicely together. So if a student has reached the graduation point and they haven't built up any experience in whatever part of the business it is that they're interested in, how do they go about doing that? Well, that's really it. How do they go about doing that? I thought it was going to be a two-part question there, but it's not. Does anybody feel particularly qualified to speak to this? Chloe?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say you need to think about the transferable skills you have then if you don't have directly relevant experience. So in terms of junior research positions, we're currently recruiting for them for ITV, and we have recently recruited, well, actually we're still recruiting for Channel 4 at the moment, we're shortlisting, and we recently recruited researchers for the PACT Indie Diversity Scheme as well. And what we always say essentially is we need to see your passion and enthusiasm. And so talk about the shows that you love, essentially. If you haven't made any stuff, just talk about the shows you love, talk about why you love them, essentially what appeals to you, why you'd want to work on them, essentially. Make sure you've done the research as well about the shows, to talk about the production companies, so you want to see that like you've actually done your research, you know who commissioned it maybe, or who was the director, who was the producer, etc. We want to know this. And so I think, yeah, basically, like if you can't talk about, what you've made yourself, then I think you should just talk about what appeals to you about working in the industry, and maybe also talk about as well why you went down like the non-traditional route in terms of like maybe not doing film and TV degree, etc. And whether that was a safety option, now you want to actually transfer to your passion. Because that will obviously allow us to understand like why you don't necessarily have the experience that we other candidates might have, essentially.
Also, if you're at Glasgow University, you have the student TV station. That is a great way of showing that you are interested in working in the industry. I'd question if I saw a CV from somebody who was starting off saying, I really want to work in TV, and they didn't have on the CV they didn't do the Glasgow Student TV station, I'd kind of maybe question that. It's not necessarily a be all and end all, but you've got a resource there where you can get experience. Also, in terms of opportunities, what you want is a diverse range of people on your team who can bring something to a job. So you might have a degree in earth sciences, and you might be crewing up for a show about earth sciences. These are all relevant skills for a researcher. In terms of gaining experience out with just being a researcher, becoming a runner is very good, because then you start to understand the industry. Now, for those who aren't aware, a runner is basically a kind of, you're brought in to do odd jobs, to do bits and pieces. It can be quite entry level, and that's how you have to start. That's how I started. I'm sure Chloe, even when she was a junior researcher, junior producer, probably had elements of those in her job as well. And it's making tea, it's doing lunch orders, it's organising meetings, it's whatnot. But it gives you a really good grounding in the industry. You start to look around and go, oh, I really like what that person's doing. And then you speak to them and find out more about their job, about how they get into that. With runner roles, what you really need to do is read the job description, because there will be things that you are asked that you have to be able to do, such as drive, such as you might have to be computer literate, you might have to be able to get to a certain place at a certain time. And I cannot stress this enough, and it kind of goes with what Petra was saying. Do not apply to a job unless you can make those criteria, because if you can't and you're applying for a job, you'll just annoy the person who's applying, because on an average shout out for runners or researchers, I will get about 100 applications. And if I get an application from somebody saying, oh, I can't actually do that, I immediately just delete that application, because it's just wasting your time and my time.
I would just quickly add to that as well. I think it's really important to demonstrate your proactivity. So, just try to network and get contacts, and just try to get into some projects that your friends are doing, or do your own project. Just it doesn't have to be, if you are still in the process of applying for jobs, just try to do something, your own project, that will demonstrate your passion, your proactivity. And I think it's really important, because also a lot of the graduates, they've done a lot of things at the uni, but it's also important to show what you have done on top of that. And that's really important to keep that in mind.
Can I just quickly say about transferable skills? I think, Anne, you mentioned that Chris worked in a call center. Now, I'm sure the skills that you picked up working in a call center, that is a tough job. You're talking to people, you have to try and find a way of connecting with people, by phone. That is skills that you pick up that is valuable to employers. And, it's your job to be able to identify that and be able to bring that across on your CV. So that's, just bear in mind those Saturday jobs or whatever jobs that you're doing, there are skills that you're picking up that is valuable for employers.
Can I add as well, there's a thing at the moment that where me and a few of my colleagues get quite frustrated. There seems to be a younger generation thing of not going on the phone. The amount of times we're in a production and we're doing something and you say, can you phone that person? And the person goes, well, I've emailed them, or I've been on Facebook and a message. Being on the phone is an underrated skill, and being good on the phone is an underrated skill. And it's something that I've seen more recently just kind of disappearing slightly. So yeah, if you can work at a call center, then brilliant.
So everybody's going to start phoning Chris now, okay? So this is a question I think you're all probably qualified to answer, but I'm going to ask Chris to speak to this because you've done this. And the question is it possible to get started in film and TV without ever moving to London?
Yeah, I mean, a lot more so now than ever before, because you have all these job opportunities. What I would say is start to understand who employs in Scotland. And I mean by look at who the big employers are. So on the outside, you've got BBC. Obviously, BBC Scotland is a huge employer in the Scottish industry. You've got STV, slightly less so. Outside of that, there are so many independent companies in Scotland that operate in Scotland. Some quite big, like Based Roof, who I work for, IWC Media. Then there's some smaller, more independent, 2-3 people organisations. But these are all people who employ in Scotland. And I can tell you now, as an employer, I want to employ people who work and live in Scotland. I don't like bringing people up from London or from Manchester to work on a Scottish production, because that's not what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be putting back into the Scottish industry. So I'm not necessarily saying you have to be Scottish, but Scottish based, which is two completely different things. So please don't misunderstand what I'm saying with that. But absolutely, it is very possible nowadays to be in Scotland, finish university in Scotland, and stay in Scotland and get a career in Scotland. Yeah. The industry is a lot bigger than it used to be.
Yeah. And there's a good publication called Film Bang, which shows you a list of all the independent production companies in Scotland. So that's a good place to start if you want to look at the industry. Now, I hate to say this, but we have 3 minutes left, people. So, there's still questions here. So let me see. I think in order to speak to some of the questions that are left, I think it might be quite nice to just finish with your top tip, your best piece of advice, what you wish somebody had told you when you were sitting in the position and asking the questions that our students are asking. So I'll just start from the top and work my way around. Okay?
So top tip just for freelancing, I think I said it before, but just, be organized. Keep track of the people you've contacted and, make sure you stay in touch with them. Especially you hear back from them, don't get disheartened if they don't reply, but just, keep checking in with them. But, take a note. I mean, do that spreadsheet. I never did it.
Thanks, Kay. Petra, I know you work for Mandy, but some of the questions are around how do you find jobs? And I know Mandy's a good resource, but is there anywhere else that you would recommend?
I mean, there are so many resources, everyone is, you can follow the production companies. Chloe mentioned Facebook, there are other platforms to look for jobs. So all these, the thing is that you should be on all this, in order to succeed, and just be out there and just try to see all the opportunities that you can find.
Okay, thank you. Chloe, let's see if there's a question here you could end with. Okay, I wonder if you could speak to this one. How would you recommend getting into presenting roles? Is it better to specialise academically and pitch a programme, documentary, etc., or work your way up in the industry from being a runner?
I would definitely say don't start as a runner. I would say you need to create your own show reels. So you need to get involved with societies such as GUST. And yeah, basically apply for, get involved with GUST and do the projects, essentially present the projects and create your own show reel, just put together in, I don't know, iMovie or whatever you have on your laptop. And then, you'll have your mini show reel, you'll build up more experience, and then you can present that to companies. That's how I think the best way to get into presenting. In order to get jobs as a freelancer, again, I'm going to say Facebook, and then all the schemes that I've mentioned, the Channel for Production Training Scheme, ITV Production Training Scheme, and the PACT, Indie Diversity Scheme, all have positions in Scotland or near Scotland. So yeah.
And do you have a final top tip?
Just put yourself out there, as it's already mentioned, essentially. I think LinkedIn is also a good way to network with people. Just do an introductory paragraph, mention why you've reached out to that person, what you like about the work that they've done so far, and also mention what you're trying to get out of this introduction.
And Chris, can I ask you to say, so we've had a couple of comments from international students moving into the sector. Could you say a little bit about how the sector is viewing international students, and then finish off with your top tip?
In terms of international students, I'd say I personally wouldn't see them different to anybody else. In fact, if anything, it could be an advantage in terms of having a different way of approaching things that somebody else who isn't international might have. So I would use that as a strength, depending on where you've come from, what experiences is that giving you that we might not have elsewhere. What you want in a team is you want diversity, you want different ways of approaching things, because if you have several people who are exactly the same, you won't get the kind of the richness of diversity and whatnot. In terms of my top tip, I would say do your research, do work, like I say before, find out who's employing, understand where you fit into the industry. As a recent graduate, is going to be at the bottom unless you're very, very good at editing and whatnot. And also just find out the resources. People like Screenskills are fantastic, packed. They all have very good schemes. They all have very good advice. So do your research.
Thank you. And thank you, Kay. Thank you, Petra. Thank you, Chloe. Thank you, Chris. That was a packed half an hour, and I very much appreciate you giving up your time and coming along and speaking to the students. So thanks everybody for coming along, and take care.
Great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.